Welcome to another ATP Geopolitics video with myself, Jonathan M.S. Pearce. This is a bit of an analysis of the fallout of the Biden-Trump debate. So we had Biden facing off against Trump, and I didn't get to watch the debate because it was in the middle of the night UK time. It was a CNN debate in Atlanta, Georgia, that had these tough constraints on the debaters that should have been to the advantage of Joe Biden. But actually, what happened in the end was possibly almost as catastrophic as it could have been for Joe Biden. Which is saying something, because Trump managed to lie himself through the entire debate and was not called out. There was no real-time fact-checking by CNN, as we knew that would be the case. But that's unfortunate because there was no pushback from the moderators to say, actually, that's a complete load of nonsense, and call out whoever made any of these erroneous claims. Of course, that would be Trump. So there was no Jake Tapper calling out Donald Trump. Now, that means that it was up to Joe Biden to call out Donald Trump, who I think in his first answer had 6 lies. But it's all about confidence. If you lie confidently, then what you are doing is coming across to the audience as confident. And if the audience is watching this and they are undecided and they look at confidence as being a reflection of how you would run the country, that confidence translates to, I am thinking that possibly you have what it takes to run this country, because look at you standing there and saying these things boldly and without any sign of weakness. That comes across really well. And of course, perception is reality. Now, it shouldn't be reality. Rationally speaking, we should go, okay, well, Trump is really confident. Biden ended up being weak and befuddled and much older than he was 4 years ago. He's obviously 4 years older, but actually, if you look at the debate 4 years ago and last night, and I've seen enough clips, so I haven't watched the debate, but I've seen a lot of analysis, and I've seen enough clips to go, yeah, there's a really big difference between those two events. So you have these two vying for the position of being president of the US, and one is confident and the other seems old and weak. But rationally, we should be saying, well, it doesn't really matter because I'm not voting for them, but it is a presidential election, but actually I'm voting for their party, essentially, and their suite of policies. And of course, on the one hand, Trump has no policies, vacuous. Yeah, he's going to be hard on immigration, and he said a few things that are kind of pie in the sky things like 100% tariffs on everything coming in, but essentially across the whole suite of policies, pretty vacuous, because it's all about bluster and about taking down what Biden has to say. And Biden has a very strong economy, and he's had a number of policies enacted, a number of bills, particularly over the first 2 years of his tenure, that I think are very good. And so he should be running on, look what we've done and look where we can go. And look at this guy, he's been found liable for sexual abuse, he's a convicted felon, and he's got all these other cases that personally, myself, I'm absolutely confident that he is guilty. And look at his track record for his 4-year tenure, where he basically, the only thing he got done was a tax break for the tax cut for the rich. So here I am, Joe Biden, speaking to the working class. These are things we've done. These are things we're going to do. And if you're a woman and you're interested in reproductive rights, you can have this guy over there with Roe v. Wade and the Dobbs ruling, or you can have me with where I want to take it, and the Democrats where we want to concentrate our policy agenda. Reproductive rights, the economy, and so on and so forth. But that's all irrelevant, because if this guy seems weak and this guy seems strong, then for a lot of people, especially when the GOP for sure are going to be cutting clips out of this and throwing that, Fox News are going to be having a field day for the next, goodness me, 3 months, 4 months more, this is really bad news for the Democrats. And so they have two options, really, sort of 3 options. So one is like, it'll blow over in a couple of days. and actually we'll just get back to business as usual, and Biden will be okay. Uh, don't worry too much. He'll be strong the next time he's debating in however many months' time, and we'll get in standing up and saying some strong things at some rallies going forward. It'll be okay. It'll blow over. The other version of that is just doubled down. It's just like, no, it's fine, don't worry. Like a kind of stronger reaction to that, like not admitting that he was weak and just saying, no, it's fine. We've got the right guy. Let's do it. Let's just keep soldiering on, and it's okay. The polls are starting to shift, and we'll just capitalize on that. It'll be okay. No one was watching last night. There's that option, or there is a replace Biden. Now, there is a lot of clamour for this going on at the moment. Lots of people panicking, by all accounts, in the Democratic Party infrastructure, as well as with people who were watching the debate hoping that Biden could at least hit back at the outright lies that Trump was perpetuating. It didn't happen. Panic sets in. So what do you do? Well, first of all, what are the mechanics of replacing Biden? It's actually quite difficult. So you've really got to be waiting for the mid-August DNC, Democratic National Congress convention. And then in mid-August, when you've got all these, the different states, 4,000, isn't it, of these people who have voted him in during the primaries. On a state-by-state basis, I think he got 95% of them. So he did really well. He was overwhelmingly supported by the party. It comes down to those people voting for someone to replace him. But that requires Biden to step back and say, I am not going to run. If you are going to try and force Biden out because you think he's weak, but Biden doesn't want to go, it becomes much more complicated. And I don't know that there are many mechanisms for that now that we've had the primaries. So this is a big long wait from the primaries to the DNC convention. I think that was originally intentional just because you want to let things settle, and then it's quite close to the elections. But also it means that if someone does, die or is too ill to run, which is similar to like too weak to run, but then you've got enough time to sort things out between the primaries and the DNC convention. So I think that's why you've got this big long gap. Now, actually, that's possibly where the Democrats are at now. Do they very strongly advise Biden to step back? Does Biden have the courage it would be to say, yeah, okay, that sucked, and actually, because I think he was over-prepared in that debate. He'd had a week of being ensconced in Camp David, having people like throw things into his head full of all these arguments. And then he's older and he gets on the debate stage and there's almost too much in there. Trump is like, it doesn't matter, I've just been hanging around slagging people off at rallies, and come along and just going to be Trump. So he doesn't need to prepare. Although he was prepared in a quite sensible way, which I think that he was very much told not to go over the top and to actually, especially if you see Biden is not strong, just let him be hoisted by his own petard, which is kind of what happened. So Trump, interestingly, didn't kind of go for the jugular or be too bombastic. And that was probably pretty sensible for him. And so Biden has just is shown himself to be weak here, certainly in the eyes of many who are watching. So if he does step back, who would replace him? He'd have to have 4,000 people voting, and if it's all it's a bit of a free-for-all on the voting side at the DNC convention, it would be. And if it was all very split, then I think you'd get the 700 super delegates, then stepping in to cast their votes and so on and so forth. But I don't know, because I don't really know the mechanics that much. But I would hope that there could be some kind of sorting out who would be the nominee, and you only have one person going to the DNC convention, and that everyone has agreed should be the nominee, and that would require other people themselves stepping back. But if you have people who really want to be that candidate, that nominee, then it's going to be quite difficult. Well, it might be a little bit messy because you then get a bunch of people running and then having these votes quite late in the day, and then having to campaign on the back of that and almost start again. It would be great is it if everyone could get together and say, okay, you're the one going for it. Yeah, everyone, do we all agree? Right, I'm going to replace Biden. Everyone knows that. I'm going to campaign as if that was going to be the case. And then when mid-August comes along, I'm just going to replace Biden. He's cool with that. Everyone votes for me because I'm the only one. And then that goes through. Uh, but I think that's possibly a little bit pie in the sky. So anyway, who might be in the running? My number one candidate would be Michelle Obama. She gets a black vote. She gets a women's vote. She would be the first female president, which, I think Nikki Haley should have been selected for the Republicans, and she would have beaten Biden. But as it turns out, Biden has shown himself to be quite weak last night, and that is, he's beaten himself. But I think Michelle Obama would be really strong. She's very popular. She was a good first lady, and she she would have the backing right across, I think, the party, the Democratic Party. So that would be my number one choice. You then got Vice President Kamala Harris, who is, I don't think, a good choice. I don't think she's got enough popularity right across the spectrum, both inside the party and out. I don't think she polls well enough to get the Democrats across the line in November. So I think that would not be a good option. You've got Gavin Newsom, the California governor, who is really media savvy. He's also very knowledgeable. He knows his stats. He's debated Ron DeSantis. You were wondering months ago when he was debating Ron DeSantis, considering he's not running for anything, why that was. Was this a contingency plan preparation? Are you good enough? Yes, you are. You smash Ron DeSantis. You know your onions. You come across very well on these TV shows that you're on. I think he's got what it takes, and especially since he is running the fifth biggest economy in the world at the moment, as California is. I think he's got the skills. Now, there is some divisiveness there with homelessness is a big issue in California, and there are some people who aren't massive fans, but I think he's got that national traction that other candidates don't. So, for example, Gretchen Whitmer, who is the Michigan governor, a former lawyer, she could be one for the future, but right now she hasn't got that national traction. She is pretty popular, although gun-toting Republicans during COVID wouldn't have told you so. But I think amongst the party apparatus and the Democratic electorate, she's all right. But she's just, I would put her down the list. I think Pete Buttigieg, who is your infrastructure man in the Biden administration, has shown, like, he was it Rick Perry in Congress the other day, and he absolutely smacked Rick Perry around with facts. Like it was on electric vehicles, and it was something to see. It was like, I'm just, before we go on, I'm going to call you out on those false things you just said. Exactly what you'd like to see in debate with Trump. Like, Pete Buttigieg would be brilliant. Now, he's not everyone's cup of tea. He's gay, and even though it's 2024, there will be a lot of conservative independents on the conservative side of things who would not go for that. Sadly, I think that still could be a thing for many, especially when you want to, get a lot of those conservative voters across who might be anti-Trump. But in terms of being able to perform on the debate stage and also be confident and come across very well in the public, so his appearances on media shows, on TV shows, have been brilliant. Like, he knows his onions. And actually, I know some people say, well, he was only, what was he, Governor, Mayor Pete, so he was mayor of a town, and he might not have that full CV of experience. Actually, he has got infrastructure bills across the line in the Biden administration that have been well received, and he is good in debate and good on TV. So he's one to possibly put some money on as well. There are some other names that are often thrown in as well, but I just don't know that they are either ready or the right people for this moment. So those are the people I would think. I mean, I'd love someone like Jamie Raskin, right? He's just brilliant, but he might be one of those people who's better as a senator or better as a lawmaker. Sorry. But he's just really, really good, and he's obviously got all the legal knowledge, and he's excellent in debates. He's just absolutely fantastic, Jamie Raskin. I just don't know whether he's the right person for now, or interesting one. But anyway, let me know what you think and what you think should happen now. I'm confident that Democrats are definitely going to be better for Ukraine. I'm personally confident that they'll be much better for the people of the US, but also foreign policy as well. And so therefore it should be like, I think it's morally incumbent upon society to vote in a Democrat president. Who will that be? Biden? On last night's performance, he might have shot their chances at least somewhat. It might just be a bit of storm in a teacup thing, like everyone panicking and media getting hold of it, or it might be something that deserves panic, right? And therefore, what are the options? How does it play out? Who do you think could replace him if it comes to that? Let me know what you think. Anyway, on with my Ukraine research and videos.